All right, so let's talk about curing and drying. Now with water-based inks, guys, this is a very, very important thing. You can get away with murder on curing your plastisol inks, but I want to talk a little bit about, you know, water-based, because it requires exact time and temperatures. Again, plastisols you can get away with murder. These take between 2.5 and 3 minutes in this temperature range. And that doesn't mean 1.5 minutes 2 times. Let me emphasize that, Dale. I know you pushed me last week to get production done, and you told me to turn the dryer up because we didn't have time to slow the machine down. So instead of letting me run my dryer at 3 minutes, you told me to turn it down to 1.5 minutes so we could spin the press faster. And you told me that you would just take those pieces and put them back through the dryer again. But we were running discharge. So after 1.5 minutes, we put them in a basket and we parked them on the side, and then after lunch we put them back through the dryer, and we have a big shade problem, Mark, and we want to know what's going on with the ink and what's happening and why we have such a huge variance in the color balance. Don't fool yourself, girl. 3 minutes, 1 time. And I don't want to hear anybody belly aching and crying, because I keep taking business from America every day from the guys that don't want to print this stuff over here. And I want you guys to keep your shirts over here, okay? Keep the shirt on your back. Slow your dryers down. You got to do it. There's no other way. Yeah. Shit, our dryer's too small. I need a double tunnel. I need the super super turbo flow air dryer. You got to move air. You got to get that water out. You don't want to push a lot of hot, wet air around a dryer. Evacuate the water out of that dryer. If it's choked off and it's running at temperature, it could be raining inside your dryer at 330 degrees. Got that? Rice on the stove in the bucket of water. What temperature does water boil at?
100 C.
100 C, right? Still? Is it still at 100?
It depends on the altitude.
Okay. What happens to that water when it's in the bucket of water on the stove? We're going to boil water at 100 until it's gone. Then what happens to the temperature? I burn the rice, honey. This is how we cure water-based ink. Get the water out. Try it. Go home. Boil rice. For 100 degrees, it'll sit there till the water's gone. Then the temperature takes off, and we get to the cure point. Here I'm a religious zealot when it comes to curing water-based inks, because I'm just emphatic about it, because it's the crux of the whole thing. You spend all this time on the film, all this time on the screens and ink and all this shit, and now we're at the cure point and somebody wants to crank the dryer up. It doesn't work. I've had endless discussions with management and the planning lady about dryer speeds. And yeah, the machine can spin at 600 pieces an hour, no problem. But my dryer can only suck them up at 600 minus 300. So I gotta get things in sync or double up on your dryer, okay? Longer tunnel, faster speed, machine can spin faster, spit them out, get them down that dryer. But don't compromise, please, guys, don't. I got hundreds of horror stories. I'm serious. Discharged for 1.5 minutes twice. I've lived through it. And every time I go into one of my factories and I see discharge coming out, I go check. It's got to be 3 minutes. And I don't know what part of that. It's like water boils at 100 and discharge takes 3 minutes at 165 C. I don't know what part of that people don't understand. That's just the rules of the road. Water-based takes between 2.5 to 3. between 150, 160, or 300, 330, okay? Depending upon your additives and things like that. Airflow is so important. You're running M&R dryers. I had Rich come and see me last month. Rich came in, took a couple of our dryers. I think those air boxes were a little choked off with some dust. We popped open those plenums and I pulled out stuff. You know, here's Rich, one of my mentors, you know. We're pulling out, you know, wads of stuff. 30-gallon, you know, garbage can fulls of stuff. Dryers were totally choked off. Not to mention, I mean, you need airflow. So go back and look at your dryers. It's so important, guys. You know, clean them out. They got to breathe. You know, they got to breathe and get that water out. Otherwise, you're just going to be pushing. It's going to be raining at 330 F inside your dryer. You know, big problem. Big problems. Oh, my ink is sticky. Oh, the shirts are stuck together. Oh, the shit's falling off. I won't pass wash test. Croc test. Okay. How do water-based inks cure? Very differently than plastisol. Simple answer. Very differently. Very differently. All right. I don't know. This is what somebody told me. I'm not sure if it's true. Since inks are built on the alkaline side, they need to change the pH from alkaline to acidic as quickly as possible. When water-based inks enter the dryer tunnel, they go in on the alkaline side. Okay? So the first thing that we want to do is to move that pH from alkaline to acidic as quickly as possible. Lon, why do we want to do that?
You tell me.
I'm going to tell you.
Good.
When we change that pH, because the thickeners are working in the pH in the alkaline environment, we want to move that ink to an acidic environment quickly so that the thickeners become inactive and the ink falls into the fabric. The viscosity's changed. Okay? That's just what's going to happen to the viscosity of the ink when it goes in the dryer. It moves from alkaline to acidic. And when it goes to acidic, the viscosity changes because the thickeners are only active in an alkaline environment. So we've gone to acidic. Oh, thickener's not working. I mean, when your pH changes on an ink, you know, the ass falls off. Excuse me. The viscosity just completely falls off the back of the ink. Kick it in the pants with a little ammonia, thicken that stuff back up to a nice creamy ranch dressing yogurt. Okay? So that's what happens. So we want that ink to go to acidic so that it falls into the yarn. Okay? We don't have chemical adhesion. We have a mechanical adhesion with the ink grabbing onto the yarn because it's become liquid. Okay? There it goes. Why? Because lowering the pH, blah, blah, blah. So what that happens, yeah, it all settles in. Now, after it's dropped into the yarn, because we've changed the pH, now we want to get the water out. Okay? Rice and water. We're boiling rice on the water. Okay? We're boiling. We got to get the water out. Now, once the water gets out, then the temperature shoots up to the 150, whatever it is, and we're done. Okay? We're bound. You know, it's all cross-linked. Okay? So once that water comes out, then the temperature can rise. You can see this very clearly by taking a thermal probe and putting it on a piece of water-based ink and sending it down the dryer. That thermal probe will hover right around 100 degrees until the water's out, and then it will take off. It's very clear. Take a reading every 5 seconds. Send that thermal probe down the dryer. Just read the number every 5 seconds. It will hover around 100, and then once the water's gone,
Do you think IR pump would put in the dryer?
no need for it. Absolutely no need for IR on water-based inks. Waste of time and energy. But that's it, guys. I think that is it. That's it.